Never have so many sent so much to so many with so little thought. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Speak the Speech podcast today that is all about AI. Hope, help, or harm? Does AI help our communication or does it harm it? We now live in an age where emails arrive beautifully crafted, polished, presentations appear instantly, and every message can sound calm, strategic, and oddly similar. But with this now effortless way that we can communicate, are we losing something at the same time? That is what this podcast is going to explore. And the way we're going to do it is we're going to have a little debate. And we have got an advocate over there, Ruth, for the use of AI when it comes to communicating. And we have somebody who is going to argue against it over here, Mr. Michael Kelly. And the three of us are going to act as judge and jury. And we're going to make a decision. We've not heard either of these arguments yet, have we? So we'll do that. We're going to have a debate, and then we're going to have a little quiz at the end of it. I have found 8 quotes that some of them are AI, some of them are human, and the team are going to work out which of those quotes are AI or human. And of course, you can play along with this when you're listening or watching this podcast as well. So yeah, lots to get through. We'll do a quick welcome. Janny Wan, do you want to say hello?
So yeah, hello everybody. I'm Jan.
Thanks, Jan. I'm Boo.
Yes. Are you looking forward to this?
No, I think it is a fascinating, because this is in everyone's waiting room, really, isn't it? It's something that is never far away from every conversation that's had. And then you find yourself thinking, oh, well, this is, like you said earlier, this is an amazing email, but seems so unlike the person that sent it to me.
That's right. Yes. Say hi, Ruth.
Hi. Yes, I'm looking forward to this. I think this might get a little bit heated between me and Mike. There's some stares going on across the table.
We've got a lot of distance between you.
Yes.
And thankfully, Jan used to be a bouncer. So, she's trained in disarming people.
Yes, 2 competitive people here, though.
2 very competitive people, yes. Hey, Mikey?
Yes, hi, I'm Mike. I'm also looking forward to it. I think it's going to, either way, it's going to raise some really interesting points of view. But just a little kind of spoiler, I'm pretty passionate about this.
Okay, good. We like a bit of passion. We all like a bit of passion, don't we? Yes, absolutely. So the way it'll work is we'll hear from Ruth. First, she is going to make the case for AI, and then Mikey will then respond and make the case against AI. And then we might have a bit of a Q&A, a chat. We'll make a decision, and then we'll play the game. Are we ready, team? Looking forward to this, Ruth.
Yeah.
Off you go.
Okay. So I am going to argue that AI is a good thing for communication. In fact, I'm going to suggest something quite radical, that it actually is making communication better. Hear me out, Mike. There are
Deep breaths.
4 main points that I would like to talk about. Firstly, it saves time saving. Secondly, improves clarity. Third, it helps difficult conversations. And finally, it expands the access to good communication. Okay, so firstly, it saves an absurd amount of time. I mean, how much of your life do you spend writing emails that you don't want to write? Rewording something so you don't sound rude, or, trying to sound professional when you're just a bit annoyed, and you write it and then you delete it and you rewrite it and you take out a sentence that's too aggressive and add in a sentence that's too passive. It takes like 20 minutes to write this email. AI can do it in about 10 seconds. Not only does it do it in about 10 seconds, but usually it does it better. It's clearer, it's more structured, less accidentally hostile, So what I think is it is removing the friction in communication. It's not taking away the judgment. It's not taking away the thinking. It's just taking away that exhausting bit where you are trying to work out the best way of phrasing something. So it does. I don't think anyone can argue it saves a lot of time, right? Mm-hmm. Secondly, it improves clarity. Most of us think we're good communicators, but we ramble. We over-explain simple things. We under-explain complex things. And what AI is very good at doing is saying, I see your 3 paragraphs of waffle and confusion. Here's one clear, simple sentence. And it's just a bit like having an editor with you all the time, just removing nonsense, removing the unnecessary bits that you have there. So it definitely makes us more clear, more structured. And it also really helps with difficult conversations. So a lot of people avoid certain conversations because they might feel a bit awkward. They don't know how to begin. It might, they don't want to offend anybody. And I actually had a friend recently who had to send a message to a colleague that they were working with because they weren't pulling their weight at work. And it was one of those situations where if she was too direct, she'd sound too harsh. If she was too soft, then just nothing would happen, nothing would change. And she couldn't avoid it. It was something that had to be brought up within work. And so what she did was she wrote down what she actually wanted to say. And unsurprisingly, it sounded really harsh. Mm-hmm. So she then put it into AI and she asked AI to reframe it. Make it, keep the point, but just make it more constructive, less aggressive. And what it came out with was very clear, very calm. It wasn't confrontational at all. And she sent it and it was received really well. The issue was resolved. The colleague there was no drama. There was no passive aggressive messages going backwards and forwards. So it really helped her in that situation. I also use it to help me find age-appropriate ways to explain tricky concepts to my kids sometimes. I used it in the whole Santa's not real conversation. Hopefully my daughter's not listening to this. No, but...
No. Sorry, Tom. Our editor out there.
Yeah, it wasn't that I wanted it to give me a script. I just wanted to find a way to explain it to a 9-year-old in a positive way. So it didn't seem like I'd been lying to her for her entire life, which obviously I had been. But I wanted, to give me ideas of how to make it a positive experience and to get that message across. And it gave me some really good ideas. It didn't have the conversation for me, and that's the key. It doesn't have the conversation for us. It just allows us to have those conversations better. And lastly, my last point is it improves the access to good communication. So that many people find communication difficult. They struggle with writing, or they aren't so confident speakers, or maybe they're working in a second language. AI just removes that barrier. It levels the playing field for everybody. It gives you a starting point, right? A structure. It gives you some confidence in what you're doing. And then it's down to you to edit, to draft, to make it your own, to make it personal. And I don't think that's replacing human communication. It's like it's giving us access to a more articulate version of ourselves. Mm. And I know that the obvious concern that I'm sure Mike is going to bring up is that we all start to sound a bit generic. And yeah, we can. We can sound generic if we are lazy with it, right? If you use it lazily, then you can sound a bit like a robot. But that's not an AI problem. That's a human laziness problem. Yeah. AI doesn't force us to be boring. It gives us a draft, right? And then you can add the interesting bits. You can add the human touch. It just allows us that space. It frees us up to think about the stuff that takes a bit more time thinking about. So I think that's the key point, really, is that AI is very good at structure, it's very good at clarity, it's very good at efficiency, but it's still dependent on a human for ideas, for judgment, for that, just knowing when something feels right. So AI can help you say something better, but it can't help you decide what's worth saying in the first place. So, in conclusion, AI isn't replacing human communication, but personally, I think it's making human communication better.
Well, team. Yeah, it's quite compelling, really, isn't it? It's a very good argument.
Well made.
But we mustn't leap to Team Ruth just yet. Can we, Jam?
No, we need fairness and equality.
Yes.
And we need
Balance.
to hear the other side.
We do, of course.
Before we can make a judgment.
We do, of course. Now, I mean, it raised so many interesting points, but I think we'll cover those points and we'll quiz you or interrogate you, I think is a nicer word. We will interrogate you after we've heard from Mikey, because it's only fair that we hear the other side of the story, Mr. Michael Kelly.
At 9 o'clock this morning, we all met at Pret. We hugged, sort of. We spoke, we shared stories about our journey in, about things that matter to us, maybe briefly, some of it quite personal, about our families and touching on hopes and fears. We laughed a lot, and we came to the Podshop studios here in London. We were greeted by the lovely staff here, and Tom has been looking after us wonderfully well since we arrived. And here we are, speaking as imperfect human beings around a table, with all the foibles that human beings have. We are already at a stage where what we're doing right now in a real studio with us real people could be replicated by 5 bots, a word I still struggle to say with a straight face, in an imaginary studio with no human presence at all, and people will struggle to tell the difference. That is where we are at. And that, frankly, terrifies me. So I see this as a fight for our very souls. It's a fight for our authenticity, and it's a fight for our creativity. And I think, Ruth, you made some really brilliant points. So I guess a lot of this is about degrees, but what I'm seeing is such an easy acceptance, an unquestioning acceptance of AI. And there's a BBC podcast out at the moment, which I think sums it up perfectly for me. Everything is fake and no one cares. So let me share with you a story of a lady I worked with recently. Let's call her Sally because I want to protect her anonymity. Sally is an incredibly bright young woman who, in her early 20s, created this amazing company. And a bit like my example in the previous podcast, I was helping her with preparation for her pitch. She's looking for funding. We met a couple of times. She's articulate. She's got a wonderful sense of humor. Just great person to chat to. And then the pitch would start. And I sat there just bewildered at how Sally was now coming across. That sort of gregarious, happy, chatty version of her vanished. And I was seeing and hearing this flatter, just really uninspired version of her. She just seemed disconnected from her words. When we met for the third time, Sally revealed all. She said, Mike, look, I have a confession to make. My pitch is AI generated. Okay. All right. So let's revisit a few things. But thank you for sharing that. It explained why she sounded so disconnected. This wasn't Sally speaking her words. She was mouthing words that had been given to her from AI. She'd fed it certain bits of information, and this was thrown back at her. And she had taken it at face value as I guess in her mind, some sort of compelling pitch for a live audience from whom she is looking for significant sums of money, right? So the first question that begged was, as I say, well, whose words are these? They're clearly not yours. Then we began speaking about her backstory more. Lo and behold, she reveals that the inspiration for her business comes from her father, a very poignant story. He's no longer with us. He passed some years ago. She was incredibly close to him. He inspired not only her business, but the name she gave to her business. I mean, I sat there, the hairs on the back of my neck. I was like, Sally, do you realize this story was never going to come out from an AI-generated pitch? This is your personal story. And it's so moving. It explains to me why you're so passionate about what you do, which comes across when we're speaking, but doesn't come across at all in your pitch. And so I said to her very, very honestly, I said, look, if I was someone with loads and loads of money, I love your idea. I love your product. I've actually sampled your product. It's edible. But now, hearing this true, authentic version of your background, I get the passion. I get your reason for doing this with such energy and how you've been already so successful at a young age. And so when we reshaped her talk and she was giving me that bit of a backstory and spoke, with so much more connection to what were then her own words, even the business side of her argument was more compelling. Everything was more compelling because it was real. It was coming from her. So here was someone speaking who was trusting herself, backing herself, trusting her intuition. And it wasn't, I don't even know what perfect is when it comes to human beings speaking to each other. But it's those little imperfections. Maybe there was the odd or or the odd little clearing of the throat, or the odd whatever habit that we've referenced in our previous podcast. But it was so palpably real, and I was connecting to her on that human level. So, I mean, it goes without saying. I'm not going to exaggerate where the story ends because it's work in progress and she will continue to meet investors. But one thing I can say with absolute certainty is she is speaking with so much more intent, so much more authenticity, and it's just landing so much more powerfully when she speaks about her life's work, which is what this company is to her. So, look, we are way, way too far down the road to even think about there being any sort of U-turn on AI. But what I fear is this merging of machine and mind. And that is Sam Altman's literal phrase that he uses for this. He calls it the merge. And he wants us to be... The lazier we are, the better it is for these AI companies. They want us to be lazy. They want us to be unthinking. And if I'm really, really honest, I think these guys in California are starting to realize themselves that this beast is slipping out of control. And there are more and more stories coming out about how they themselves are taking precautions to prepare themselves for what may be down the road in the not so distant future, precisely because of how aware they are of what happens when these things develop the next level of intelligence and the next level of intelligence. And for me, what it comes down to, I see it on LinkedIn, I see it on Facebook posts, I see it, revealing my age there. Mm-hmm. I see it all the time. You see it on YouTube videos where it might not always be immediately obvious, but what we all get is that feeling, that sense. This isn't real. This doesn't feel or sound real. It might take a few seconds, it might take a couple of minutes, but sooner or later we tune into the unreality of it. And I honestly predict, which could be great news for us here today, that people sooner rather than later will be craving human connection more than ever, real, genuine human stories. So I think theatre, live music, any live event is going to be craved like it's never been craved before. You can even go into shops now and see signs on products saying, no AI used in the creation of this product. So already I think people are waking up to this, how pervasive it is, how these guys want to quite literally run every waking hour of our lives. And they are well on track to doing that with huge swathes of the population. And I'll finish with this. 2 years ago, I wrote a play. Hundreds of hours of me soul-searching, digging into my own personal story, coming across this extraordinary story of the transatlantic cable leaving Ireland in 1866. And I poured my heart and soul into weaving elements of my own story into the characters that form this story. And it's been well received. And hopefully it has legs for several more years to come. My greatest fear today, apart from the love and care I have for those closest to me, is the idea that my play could be thrown into AI and thrown back at me. And if I'm really honest, is my deepest fear that it might be something as good or better. But then I quell that fear by reminding myself it can't be better because it's not real.
Wow. How do we, where do we go from that, guys? Where do we go? Wow. What an amazing an argument there, Mikey. And yeah, you were right when you said you're passionate about it, mate. You were absolutely right. It was amazing. Okay. Well, look, we're going to ask some questions, all right? Or share some thoughts. Do you mind? So we'll start with you then, Ruth.
Okay.
I'm quite happy to get the ball rolling, or do what? Have you got something, Jan? Something's on the tip of your tongue, isn't it? Go on.
It was just that you made me think about something that I'd not thought about before, and it's something I do regularly. You know, a client says, "Can you write a workshop for me?" And I can set aside a day or a couple of days for writing, and I can spend half a day trying to work out what I'm going to do. And Kev will say to me, "How's it going?" And I always say to him, "Well, once I get going, I'm fine. It's the getting going that is the struggle. Once I get it, then I'm off." And I hadn't thought about maybe AI could help me in the getting going. So I really that was just right. So I could,
It's like someone to bounce ideas off.
And I hadn't thought about it like that.
See, I think both of you have touched on this, and I think the key is how lazy we are. So if you think of spell check,
Oh, yeah.
Which is the first thing that really influenced my life because I'm a shocking speller. But now I don't even have to worry about it.
Yeah.
And so I'm typing an email. I don't even have to stop and think, oh, is this the one time it's E before I? Or because that's all done for me. So I've got really lazy.
So you're still a terrible speller.
I'm still a terrible speller.
No one knows.
Think of the people that. So my daughter Ella is an amazing speller. My wife Michelle's a brilliant speller. But I'm not sure they are now because they don't have to.
Mm.
And I do worry that's, because I'm always shouting out, "How do you spell?"
Yeah.
But not if I'm on my phone or my laptop.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I would be worried that I think that the vast majority of us, if we can be lazy about something that we don't think matters, suddenly that becomes the new norm.
Great point, definitely. And I think it's something you said in your piece, which really resonated for me, was if we use it intelligently.
Yeah.
Right. And yeah, if we use it intelligently, and I don't mind admitting, like I use it. I'm happy to use it for all the reasons, many of the reasons that you mentioned, getting going, generating ideas, and then I'll adapt and that my opening, I don't mind admitting, it was it's Winston Churchill for those young people there who didn't realize what I was doing at the beginning. But where does this end, right? Where does all this end? And especially with the generation growing up with it, right? As Boo said, he now never needs to be a good speller, right? Is there not a danger? Because we can go into a wider argument here about AI, but is there not a danger that we don't have to think anymore, Ruth?
And the one thing that really, really struck me in all the things you said, and they were brilliantly made points, but when you said that your friend wrote to someone an AI-generated difficult conversation, I just kept thinking, well, surely she should be speaking to them. If you're going to write something to someone, it's of course it could be brilliant and it could be perfectly crafted or it could be AI. But what worries me, and I'm sure there's a sound reason with your friend, but I then worry that, well, people won't have difficult conversations anymore. It's someone else's problem.
But then again, I think that's another conversation, is the generational thing as well, of people actually not picking up the phone anymore, people not having those face-to-face conversations anymore. Everything is done, messages, emails.
Yeah, that's not necessarily AI's fault, is it?
No, but I agree, it is how you use AI. Can I let you all into a little secret?
Go on.
So when John said to me today, right, we're going to be doing this podcast about AI and the effect it has on communication, I'd like you to argue for the positives. Why is it a good thing for communication? I was like, okay, well, let's do a little experiment. AI wrote my argument. That was AI generated.
But if you don't mind me saying, you're an actor, right? For those of you who don't know, Ruth McClements, available. Ruth Gallius is her stage name. So you delivered it beautifully, right? And not everyone can do it like that, right?
Sure.
Sally's, I think, a great example where if you've got that script, you would have had a script then, and you would have learned a lot of it, and you would have delivered it as beautifully as you did.
And I did edit.
The vast majority of people don't have, and you edited
and
it.
And I did edit, so I put it in.
The vast majority of people, when they're reading something out, they just don't have that ability.
Yes, you have to still make it sound like it's you, because that, and again, that is the human laziness problem, isn't it?
AI doesn't get the nuance, does it? AI doesn't get the nuance, it doesn't get the depth of emotion.
Yeah.
Doesn't get the emotion, Jan, but I think it's getting the nuance now.
And you can prompt it with different things. You can be quite clever with your prompts. I think that's part of it as well. It's like you can say, I want this with a British deadpan humour, and it will actually come out with a bit of.
I tried that a little while ago, Ruth. For the last podcast, I wanted some ideas, and I said I'm a big fan of Sean Locke. the dear departed Sean Locke. He's my sort of humour. Can you give me something with a bit of Sean Locke type humour? It was worthless.
Oh, was it?
Honestly, it was totally.
Okay.
Poor old Sean would be turning. I'm afraid.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah,
but that's the thing is, you then become an editor, right?
Yeah.
It's less. I do get Mike's argument.
Yeah.
Totally get Mike's argument, and the human element, and the passion, and all of that. That it turns you into more of an editor. That is your job. It's taking bits, reprompting, taking a bit from that one, taking a bit from that one, putting them together, and then feeling it in your own voice as well.
I just worry that people won't bother with that bit. Because one of the things we spoke about before is this need to get all the info over. And now what we can do is say to AI, get these points over, but in one paragraph.
Yeah.
And it'll do it.
Sure.
And so I've done my job. It's like when I quite often look at presentations and say to people, it's missing a bit of heart and stuff. Well, they're not my slides. Well, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Well, I'm doing my job.
And
I'm getting the message across, but these aren't my slides. These aren't how I would work. And then you say, well, how about using your slides? Well, I haven't got time. So it's the catch-22, but I do think that it's of course, as we've all suggested, it's the human use of it.
Yeah.
And I do think, as Mike brilliantly put there, is that a message without the emotional connection is almost worthless.
Yeah.
Well, it's like when we do the activities during the courses with the speeches. And what do we say? The speeches are just words on a page.
Yeah.
And they only become as powerful as they become when you say them.
Yeah. And own them.
Yeah.
What about with Mikey? So, I mean, you powerful, very powerful argument that you put forward, and the example that you use with Sally. The thing that I would say with Sally, though, is that she's a normal person. Obviously, she's created this. It sounds like an amazing business that hopefully will do really, really well. But that her strength is not in communication, right? And a lot of our clients, they're very good at their jobs, they're very good at their technical ability, but they're not necessarily able to always communicate that. Now, Sally was fortunate that she had you as a coach. So in effect, you were her prompt, you were her AI, you were the person that she could bounce off, and you have been able, I'm sure, to really help her. So not everyone will have that access to a coach, right? And so is that where AI, for those times where we don't quite know how we want to word it, but we've got a rough idea, so we can put it into AI rather than employ you or me or any of us. I don't want to do us out of work, but do you see what I mean?
I do, and that's the very real danger, that it will be replacing the likes of us, the way things are going. But of course I wasn't her AI. That's the point. Yeah. I was a human being, picking up on her inflection, her tone, her, that sometimes it's almost imperceptible, the difference, the shift in the voice that we pick up on when someone's suddenly engaged with what they're saying. No amount of AI can do that, can give that live feedback. So you're right, she was arguably fortunate to have that time with me. But I was doing things no AI could do. And the truth is, she is a wonderful communicator.
Right.
She just needed to reconnect with her, the truth of her story, and so it was absolute. I'm grateful for her. I mean, can you imagine where that was never revealed? If that was never revealed, I would have come away I probably would have come away after 3 or 4 meetings just really frustrated and confused. We see it in our work all the time, that shift from chatty pre-course person to, can you please stand up? We're going to film you, introduce yourself. And that, we literally see the shutters come down and we see a completely different person. So we're used to seeing that sort of thing. And lo and behold, they also turn out to be great communicators. So this was her, yes, under that little bit of pressure because I recorded her and stuff like that. But this is what was happening with her being so disconnected from her words. And, this whole thing about helping, I get the point about prompts and structuring things and ideas that we then take on board and go away and think about more deeply. But I just think the numbers of people doing that are dwindling. And I think generationally, they just won't have that background in thinking critically. I saw something the other day, university interviews, lecturers now, professors interviewing, Cambridge, the Oxford universities. They really are looking now, the grades are becoming less and less of a thing. What they're looking for in the interview is to check that these people can think for themselves, can think critically. It's going to be gold dust for people growing up. And if all you're doing, my daughter Millie, God bless her heart, she is literally fighting the cause against, she's being encouraged to use it for her studies. I've got to be careful what I say because I don't want to mention school names and stuff. She goes to a great school. But, I just think it's the temptation just to put in a load of stuff, a load of stuff thrown back at you, which, let's be honest, if you're doing that, are you even going to read yourself what's being thrown back at you? So in terms of learning that sticks, learning that matters.
See, I think it's really interesting that the one skill that it can never replace is reading the room.
Yeah.
And so often, some of the best communications have been communications that weren't even made because they didn't need to make them. The famous story of Alf Ramsey in the 66 World Cup, when the whole team were waiting for him to come out and speak to them and, for extra time. They're all wondering what words of wisdom he was going to give. And he came over and said, "Gentlemen, you've beaten them once, beat them again." And, he didn't have to if he'd got an AI-generated thing, he would have said, right, you need to do more of this, you need to do more of that. But he just knew all they needed was a little prompt.
Yeah.
And I think, I wonder that we'll lose that backing of ourselves to read
Absolutely,
situations.
the backing of ourselves. And I think what is going to happen sooner rather than later, because I liked your examples about the difficult conversations, I think we're going to know when we're being AI'd. I think we're going to recognize when these almost insanely perfectly worded and toned emails, just, again, it comes down to that sense we have, that feeling we have. Or it goes the other way, where it's just, we get so far into this where we just have no idea anymore. And that's going to come to light in a little while, isn't it?
Yeah.
With your questions. But, that's the thing. So this world that they want us to be in, where there's a complete merging of our minds and AI, where they're almost interchangeable at any given time, that is absolutely where we are heading.
Yeah. Do you think though, sometimes I just think it's just an extension of Google. Sometimes I think I probably could have come up with that, but it would have taken me that much longer because I'd have had to have asked Google, in the old days. Google's AI is pretty good now as well, to be fair. But you just stick a load of stuff and you get there eventually. So I thought it was really fascinating when you said that you think people are going to be crying out for non-AI, and it'd be very interesting to see, because I wonder if you're swimming against the tide here, Mikey, that actually, stuff I've read in Hollywood is that they're saying, predictions of in 5 years' time, most films will just be done like that. A lot of films will be done like that. A lot of actors will, you can now get Brad Pitt starring opposite James Dean, for example. You can bring in all these old actors and no one's going to know the difference.
But that strengthens my argument.
Yeah.
That strengthens my argument. I don't want to see that.
No.
I want to see, so I think that backs my argument that people will crave actual human beings telling real stories in live environments. And it's utterly depressing that that's the way the direction film is going. It's utterly depressing.
But everything is going, And it's interesting that you mentioned Google, because the other thing that I worry about with AI, and a great friend of mine, Ryan, was saying that when he went to school, he went to a school that required an 11 plus. And he was coached, because his brother had passed his 11 plus, he was coached and coached and coached to pass the 11 plus, which he did. But he got to the school and he said for the first year, he said I was ending most days in tears because I couldn't keep up. I didn't know what was going on because my intelligence was artificial. I didn't get there because I'd passed an exam. I got there because someone else passed the exam for me. They gave me all the techniques. And this is just an extension of that. It's just taking it to a new level that people are going to suddenly, when they are put on the spot, they're going to go, well, I don't know, because AI did it for me.
Okay.
Absolutely. And look, we're slightly veering off this strictly communication road here. And I don't want to break your heart. We went to see ABBA a few years ago, didn't we?
Yes. The
Voyage.
Voyage, yeah.
Now, look, we had a great night.
Oh, God, don't you dare. Don't you dare say
John
you
and I
didn't enjoy it.
went as Benny and Beyond.
The highlight for me was seeing you guys dressed up. Look, when they appear on stage, it's a breathtaking moment. I was breathtaken by the technology. Hand on heart, the moment whichever of the ladies appeared on screen, but those dead eyes, those dead AI eyes, it left me cold. And I've never said that before, but if I don't say it now, then it will never be revealed. And
You
I hope
didn't look cold when you were moving on to Dancing Queen.
that's, I was soaking
He's
up.
rewriting history here, guys.
It's a phenomenal, arguably one of the most successful things the UK's ever seen. I think it's still packing out every single night
But I
of the
think
week.
it started with the best of intentions, but I get what you're saying. But look, let's not go down too many rabbit holes.
Yeah, no, it's
I think
a very good point, though. That's the danger, isn't it? It can leave you cold. Well, look, we have to make a decision. Time is against us. So, Jan, what's your summation of all of this? Where do you lie?
So picking up on what Ruth said, it's the over-reliance thing. So the thing that would really worry me is that, we use it as a way of not having to think for ourselves. There was a particular course I was running recently where I had to ask them, in a particular activity, could you stop just going straight to AI to get the answers? I'm going Mikey's way.
Okay. One for Mike.
I think, if I'm honest, I think it's a brilliant servant, but a shocking master.
Oh, nice. I like that.
So, of course, I'm in
You got that
Mikey's. I didn't actually, but I'm with Mikey. But I do think, of course, we do have to evolve, and if communication can be made a little easier, and if we can make something a little more impactful, fantastic. But I don't trust us to not be lazy, and then suddenly it becomes the boss.
So you're Team Mike as well. Okay. Well, I'm going to be my usual wishy-washy. bear the impression of the last person who sat on me. That's what Jan often says about me. I think Ruth made some absolutely fantastic arguments, and I do think there is a place, and I would be a hypocrite to not say that, because I have started to use it a lot more myself, just to give that structure. I do consider myself, like you said, a reasonably intelligent user of it. So I will use it to get some structure, some thoughts, and then edit it and almost sort of like make it a bit stupider, take it 15% down so that it sounds more real.
More
I think
like you.
more like me, exactly. Well, that would need about 60%. But so I am in Ruth. I totally get what Ruth is saying, and I do think there is a place for it. But I have to say, it terrifies me, the thought that one of our clients said recently, could you come in and work with our team, do the delivery bit? They use AI for the content bit, but we just need you for the delivery bit. And I said, okay, that's a bit scary that you use AI now for the content bit. They said, we could actually use AI for the delivery bit, but we'd rather have a human for that bit. And I was like, oh my God, that's where we're heading at it. So I'm worried about our jobs. So it's going to have to be unanimous. I'm really sorry, Ruth, that I'm going to come down on Team Mikey as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
Sorry, John.
It's okay. It's all
With
right.
us dinosaurs, you didn't stand a chance.
I mean, I understand all of it, and it does worry me what it's going to do to our brains. It does worry me a lot of the time, just being an editor, it's not actually as fun and as rewarding as being the creator, is it? But I think it is a very, very useful tool, and I think for the things that don't matter so much, I'm in.
Yeah.
You know, obviously, yes, a pitch like Sally's, bringing that heart, bringing that soul to it, you can't really replace that.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with that. Things we haven't even touched on are the extraordinary environmental impact it's having as a topic for another day. But that is very, very serious.
Yeah.
Every research we do is doing all sorts of serious damage to water consumption, etc. But yeah, as I think I made clear, I just think we need to really back ourselves, trust our intuition, and work with other human beings to hone and improve how we communicate. And if that means occasionally there's a few imperfections here and there, that's what makes us human.
Okay. So on a lighter note, we'll finish with this game. Are you ready for the game? So I've got 8 sentences, quotes here, and some of them are AI. I'm not going to tell you how many, of course. Some of them are human. You're each going to vote. See how many you get of these at home as well. Are you ready for number 1?
Yes.
The human soul is a mistake struggling to survive. The human soul is a mistake struggling to survive. Votes, hands up, AI. Hands up, AI. Hands up, human. It was AI. So
There's just something.
count your scores.
Perfect about it.
Intelligence without empathy is incomplete. Intelligence without empathy is incomplete. Hands up for AI. We've got 2. So I realise some people are listening to this, so we'll have to vote a bit quicker. And hands up for human.
I'm going human.
It's human.
Yes.
That was a human quote. All right, Jan is on 2. The other 3 are on 1.
Oh, am I winning?
You're winning, Jan, yes. Sometimes I whisper motivational quotes to my stapler so it doesn't give up on me. Okay, sometimes I whisper motivational quotes to my stapler so it doesn't give up on me. AI? Human?
I'm going human.
You're all wrong.
Oh, no,
You're
really?
all wrong. It's AI when it was asked to replicate The Office. You know, the comedy series, The Office. Come up with a quote that could be like The Office. So that was AI. So it's 2-1-1-1. When you are being strangled, don't forget to breathe. When you are being strangled, don't forget to breathe. AI?
Yes.
Votes. What are you going for? 2 are going for AI. Human?
I'm going human.
I'm going human.
Oh, you're going human. Boo, you are correct.
It's
That
AI.
was AI. Inspirational nonsense. That is inspirational nonsense. So Boo is up to 2. Jan is on 2. The others are still on 1. 5. I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious. I am not superstitious, but I am a little stitious.
I'm going human.
Human.
Yeah, I'm going human for all of them.
Everyone's going human, and that was Michael Scott from The Office. That was actual The Office, the greatest comedy show.
So I'm still winning.
In America and in the UK.
No, you're tied.
You are still winning.
No,
No, you're
you're
level.
tied.
Yeah, 3, 2, 2. With AI, we are summoning the demon. With AI, we are summoning the demon. AI?
I'm going human.
Mike's gone AI. Human?
I'm going human.
It is Elon Musk said that, believe it or
Oh,
not.
did he?
Elon Musk said that. Yes. So
As long as he's making cash, he doesn't care.
Okay, code the future. Keep your conscience updated. Code the future. Keep your conscience updated. AI or human?
I'm sure
AI.
Going
I'm going to go AI.
Okay, yeah.
Mikey's gone human is AI.
I'm just going against the flow now.
Is this level between Boo and saying this is the last one? Then here we go.
The decider.
AI can generate 1 million stories, but it still cannot live one. AI or human?
Oh gosh.
AI or human? Votes. AI. Mikey's got AI. Human.
Human.
It's human.
Oh.
It is human. Thank God that one is human. We have our joint winners, Boo and Jam. With how many did you get? You got
4, 5.
4 or
Five.
5. I thought you got 5. Yeah. How many did you get at home? Mikey, after that wonderful argument, you only got 1 out of 8. Oh, you got 2 out of 8. There we go. So it's not easy, is it? Well, look, I hope those arguments and those conversations have got you thinking as well. We would welcome, of course, your comments in the comment section. Please subscribe. Please like our podcasts. We'll be back again next month with another one. But until then, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
With your smile, how are you?